Entheogens.
Huh. I can dig it. Where would you like me to begin?
At the beginning. How about that?
At the beginning. Oh, you poor damn fool. The very first time I did shrooms, which was my first entheogen, well, my first entheogen besides weed, but at that point I hadn't considered it in that fashion. But my very first time I did shrooms, I sat outside of my parents' house, ate about 2 grams, and stared. Just stared and let the trees speak, as cliche as that sounds.
Super cliche.
But it's a cliche for a reason. Most cliches are.
True.
But it changed my world. I went from being someone who was very pro-technology to the point where I said, cut down all the trees and replace them with buildings, to where I am now, where I live in a shack I built myself in the middle of the woods.
So that was a pretty life-altering experience, as well as mine.
Absolutely. I went from, it was a literal 180-degree turn.
380?
Because before that, no, not 360, I'd be in the same place.
Yeah.
Unless I was moonwalking.
I like it.
But that was my primary entheogen, and still remains my entheogen of choice, until I tried salvia, which led me to entirely different places, and seemed more real, in a sense. It ripped me away to an entirely different place, as opposed to shrooms, which showed me the same place, but with different eyes.
Oh. So it's like alien landscapes, hyper-dimensional travel type shit.
Sort of more like I fell back onto a couch, and I realized the couch was a hill, a grassy knoll, whereupon grew a jungle, and in front of me, a jungle with little green Smurf-like individuals playing drums and having a good old hootenanny. And I watched, because I could not move. I was one of the trees.
Wow.
Whole different perspective. Most of the entheogens that I have encountered, the end result has been a shift of perspective. And that, to me, is the most important thing. I personally enjoy to, if I can, do shrooms about once a year, because I end up locked in my own head a lot. It helps me pour out the teacup of my mind and put fresh tea in, as opposed to sipping on the same bitter tea.
That's a good metaphor.
I try my damnedest. But for non-entheogenics, I've used alcohol as an entheogen before, but it is not always used as an entheogen. Dionysian revelry is incredibly important in my life, inasmuch as that if I am drunk and having a hoopla and hootenanny, it ties me closer to people than I would be able to get just completely sober. I have a tendency to be a little cold when sober.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cold and aloof.
Makes sense.
And when I've got a little bit of something, I find that, hey, I don't mind if this person that 15 minutes ago I would have considered a goddamn idiot is speaking to me, because they have their own mind that they are sharing with me. As opposed to, say, like, other non-entheogens that I've done. I've eaten an amphetamine or two, unfortunately, and those, like I had mentioned earlier, have a tendency to focus one in, pinpoint to one thing. And I have the magical knowledge that I have gotten from it has inevitably been either A, demonic, which, well, I don't flex on anything that wants to eat me, or B, complete and total nonsense that makes no sense to anyone. I've got a notebook full of just fucking garbage.
Yep.
I kept it to let me know that this is not actually productive.
Yeah, it's true.
And when more non-entheogens, like, I've been a pill-popping animal when it comes to hydrocodone before, because I've had plenty of bones broken. I got a punchable face.
Yes, you do. And also a metal plate from all the punching.
I've got 2 metal plates in my head, thank you.
So let's go back to the entheogens, though.
Oh, let's do.
Because, I think that everybody knows that, as you said, drugs are bad, Carl.
Yeah. In regards to entheogens, as I mentioned before, it's a shift in perspective every time I have experienced them. It was very rarely, or, well, as far as I remember, not at all, that I have eaten any sort of psychedelic and ended up in the same place I was before. They have a tendency to knock one off of a treadmill and allow one to actually run.
Mm-hmm. So
I get a little sick of hamster wheels myself.
Yeah, I mean, it gets pretty mundane when you're doing the same shit over and over, putting the same memes into your brain over and over and over again. It's tiresome.
Yes. Though that being said, there is still a sort of knowledge that can be gained from repetition of the same thing.
Yes.
Like what I'm doing right now, growing my own food. Ooh. I started out not knowing a damn thing about how to grow food, and I went hungry a lot.
Yeah, right.
And then I discovered the right proportion of sand to mix with compost, to mix with blah, 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 all that shit. Mm-hmm. Because I kept doing it over and over again. Had I just given up, I would have learned nothing.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, shit, dude. You can say the same thing about this podcast. Like, when I first started it, I put it out there and posted it one time on Facebook, and nobody listened to it. And I was like, wow, nobody likes our show. It's terrible. And then I realized through repetition and through learning marketing and all sorts of stuff like that, that I had to do different things. I had to try different things, and now we're up to like 100 listeners every podcast, and that's pretty good, and I hope to extend that.
I mean, better than none, that's for sure.
Yeah, right? Somebody gives a shit about what we have to say.
Yes. And speaking of some of those people, before we leave, I would like to pimp my own cabal.
Yes. Okay, so also this we're going to go into next time that we talk about entheogens. We're going to go into the different shamanic practices of entheogens and different tribes, cultures, religions that use entheogens. This is part 1 of a part 2 series, but for now, Reverend Sataruday wants to talk about his cult, the cult of the upstanding citizen. And the
cult of the upright citizen. We're not upstanding at all.
Go ahead, Sataruday. Talk about
the whole thing with this cabal is that we use their weapons against them, as opposed to simply, just being weird as weird can be for the sake of it. The goal is to fool the, say, yuppies, the uplanders of all variety, into thinking that we're absolutely normal, and walking right into, say, I don't know, the Senate, and eating their brunch.
So, are you guys like Discordian Jehovah's Witnesses?
No, absolutely not. We are Discordians, but the goal is, as opposed to being blatant, to be insidious.
So you just get right up in there before they know it. Pew!
As it is said in the Coutaging, a tie opens many doors.
Oh, true.
Yeah, that being said, I'm living in a shack in the woods, so I'm not exactly super about it right now in the actual infiltration of physical places. However, it's not like it has not been done, nor like it will not again.
So, alright. So what is your main goal? What's your end goal of this?
Mimetic warfare.
Hermetic warfare. Alright.
Mimetic.
Oh, mimetic. Excuse me, mimetic.
Absolutely. Memes, as opposed to being simply funny images on a screen, are ideas that are self-replicating.
And
Thought viruses.
What are we fighting against? Or what is the cult of the wait, how to say it?
Cult of the upright citizen.
What are you guys
goal
fighting
is
against?
I'm a filthy anarchist, so the goal is to break all methods of control.
All right, I like that.
Yeah, I will break any chain that comes before me, and I will treat every man as if he were free. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna fucking talk down on him, but, as I said, my rights end at the tip of someone else's nose. But words are words.
All right. So, you're basically a Discordian society that is infiltrating the materialistic, programmed societal norm.
Exactly, as opposed to, the whole classic meme, red pill, blue pill. We're the golden pill.
Okay. Sounds good. So how do we find out more about the cult of the upright citizen?
The cult of the upright citizen is featured on Discord, which I've given you the link, and ideally you're gonna pop it on Eris Radio.
Yep.
And if any of you lovely people decide to join, you will be tested.
And what kind of tests are we gonna have to go through? Is it gonna be like math and stuff?
I'm not telling.
Okay.
You take a test. We'll see.
Jeez, I'm not good at tests. The last time I took a test, it was like an IQ test, and listen.
And you failed.
I passed a drug test one time. I got positives on everything. Just kidding.
I'm not surprised.
Just kidding, y'all. I don't do drugs.
No, drugs do him.
No, I use entheogens in a sacred metaphysical practice. Well, guys.
You smell that bullshit?
This has been a great episode of Eris Radio. And for those of you who don't know, Eris Radio's humble beginnings came from when Mr. Reverend Sataruday and I started out doing 15-minute podcasts in a park when we were living on the streets. And now look at us. We both have shacks. I've got a camper. He's got a shack.
Moving on up.
Living on different parts of the country from each other. Traveling around.
And it's Dr. Reverend, sir.
Dr. Reverend Sataruday, Wizard at Law. So find out more about that. Check Eris Radio's Facebook page. And we're going to play the rest of we're going to play Savage 512 again. So have a great day, y'all. And hail Eris.
Hail Eris. All hail Discordia.